I've started the live stream, so must have got this pop-up. The meeting has been live streamed. Just press it on, got it, and don't leave it. And we have also hit 100 members. So yeah, let's get started. Chandan.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to that time of the day where you get to meet industry experts that we all look up to. And this time, we have the founder and the CEO of the fifth generation of industrial revolution, Pratik Gauri. Pratik is incredible. Over the last 10 minutes, when I'm going through profiles, when I'm going through his work, and the TED talk that I've been watching is just so amazing. Pratik, you got my heart. And to give a brief introduction, he is a venture capitalist. He is an entrepreneur, 35 under 35, 40 under 40, 40 under times, and Greenbiz 30 under 30, and Asia One 40 under 40. And not just that, he is an amazing storyteller by the way he recites the entire content. And yeah, Pratik, the stage is all yours.
Yeah, thanks, Chandan, and thank you guys for having me here. It's a pleasure. So, I'll just quickly, what I'll do is, I'll just quickly run you guys through, my life journey and what I've been focused on, and then probably we can open the floor for questions. Um, so. I've been trying to promote a concept of the fifth industrial revolution uh, since the last 15 years. So I started my journey when I was 16, and it was to prove the thesis that you can actually make more money if you do more good to the world. So when I started back then, um, 15 years back, social entrepreneurship was considered synonymous to charity, and businesses were considered synonymous to profit. So if somebody was running a startup or a business, it just meant they just want to be profitable. Or if somebody's doing social entrepreneurship, it was all about charity. So I was actually trying to figure out a sweet spot, or a place where I can work at the intersection of both these spaces, where I build a business which is sustainable as well, but which makes money. And that's how I started promoting the idea of a fifth industrial revolution, where you can actually make more money if you do more good to the world. So just to give you a small example, you can actually make more money if you sell a juice over a cola. You can actually make more money if you promote geothermal energy over coal, and so on and so forth, right? So I started promoting that concept. So what I did in the last 15 years is I kind of tried to I started setting up businesses around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So businesses around health tech. People who don't know what SDGs are, so it's basically a universal matrix defined by the UN, which simplifies social impact for us, which basically means, like, for instance, if you talk about social impact and use the language of the SDGs, which are Sustainable Development Goals by the UN. SDG 3 stands for health, SDG 4 stands for education, quality education, SDG 5 stands for gender equality, SDG 6 stands for clean water and sanitation, SDG 13 stands for clean energy, and so on and so forth. Uh, so I started building businesses around the UN SDGs. So started building businesses around health tech, climate tech, renewables, solar, wind. So I built a lot of those businesses. I got my first successful exit when I was 20 years old, and then since then I've had 8 startups. Most of them, as I said, have been around social impact, to prove the thesis that you can make more money if you do more good to the world. I've been able to impact tens of millions of people, generate tens of millions of dollars, and did all of that. And last year I found myself at an inflection point where I was like, how do I scale this concept to a billion people? And that's when I started Fired with a couple of my co-founders. So we started this is the world's first sustainable blockchain ecosystem, which is trying to, of course, expedite progress from the fourth industrial revolution to the fifth. By basically, what we have done is, I don't know how many of you guys know how blockchain operates, but it's like an infrastructure. So we built India's first layer one blockchain and the world's first layer one sustainable blockchain, which basically does not use what other layer one blockchains do. So it doesn't use a proof of work as consensus or proof of stake as consensus, which is generally being used by most other blockchains. We use something called proof of benefit, which where we have embedded 17 UN SDGs, which I spoke about, and we have scraped data from 650 ESG sources, which are environmental, social, governance goals. So what happens is, when you build a decentralized application on top of a blockchain, you can actually you can actually, when you use a consensus, you automatically align with the SDGs, and you automatically start moving towards sustainability because you get financially rewarded for following sustainable practices. So for instance, if there are two validators in the ecosystem, one of the person says using geothermal energy, the second is using coal. So people who are using geothermal energy will be financially rewarded more. If you have 50% women in your workforce versus somebody having 20%, the 50% women workforce would be rewarded more. And we still reward financial practices, but at the same times, it also we reward sustainable practices, and that's how we are moving the whole world from for profit to for benefit. So that's what we've been building. We just secured a capital commitment of $100 million, and it's and our first round was 21 million at $110 million valuation. So we are currently building smart policing applications for the government. So we are working with a lot of governments in India, a lot of state governments in India, around smart policing, land registrations. We are also working very closely with a lot of the governments in the US, state governments. We are working with the government of Nigeria. So we are bringing all of them on the blockchain. So we are trying. We have also created something called Fire School, which is about promoting blockchain education across the world. We have tied up with a lot of universities as well. We are also tying up with like for instance, we've built an application. We've tied up with an application called YOL, Your One Life, which is has access to 8 million kids of AICTE, which most of you guys know is the High Technology Council body of India. So we are basically, working with a lot of Fortune 500s, governments, universities, and a bunch of others to move the whole world from for profit to for benefit. So that's the idea. As I said, we are the world's first sustainable blockchain. We have our own exchange, we have our own wallet, we have our own NFT metaverse marketplace, with a lot of exclusive IPs. We have our own layer one blockchain, which is built on Rust. So anybody of you here who's a blockchain developer, we are actively hiring. We are a team of 85 people now, and we're just 5.5 months old. And as I said, we've just secured a capital commitment of 100 million. So we are actively hiring people, and yeah, and building the community to become a flagship blockchain when it comes to sustainability, because most of the blockchains that you see currently, which are layer ones, aren't sustainable because they use different consensuses like proof of work or proof of stake. So what proof of work, for a lot of you guys who don't know, it basically means if you spend more computational power or you spend more electricity, you get rewarded, which basically means anybody who spends the most electricity gets rewarded in the consensus, which also means that they're moving the world towards it's not a sustainable solution, right? Because you're spending more electricity. So and with proof of stake, which most of the other layer one blockchains for instance use, you have to stake more crypto to become a validator, which basically means, like, if you're whoever's more rich, right, whoever has more money actually ends up staking more and getting rewarded, which basically means you're going back to your traditional banking system where you're making the rich richer and the poor poorer, right? So which we don't want, because blockchain is all about decentralization. It's all about financial inclusion, for instance, and that wasn't happening. So that's what we've been building. And my journey, well, I've yeah, as I said, this is my ninth company that I've built. All of them have been on the thesis of the fifth industrial revolution. I've been trying to promote actively a concept that, as I said, you can make more money if you do more good to the world. And I currently wear the hats of an investor, an entrepreneur. I invest in one company almost every 7 days. So I've invested in a lot of companies, mostly in the Web 3.0 space, which is about decentralization. So if you're building something on the something related to Web3 or blockchain, please hit me up. Would love to explore. If you are in the blockchain space, please hit us up, because we are actively hiring. As I said, we are hiring marketing people, developers, and yeah, community managers. Different types of roles are open, and I'm very active on most of the social media, which Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Please hit me up. Yeah, that's pretty much about what I'm currently building.
Pratik, that's incredible, man. The way, like, nine startups is not an easy story, and that too, everything being in the space of, let's say, social entrepreneurship. The example that you've given, selling juice over cola, is gonna give you more money. At the same time, you're doing good for the community, and
Yeah.
that's something like is a very, very, very good example about social entrepreneurship. And awesome. And talking about that, just tell me, like, where do you see the vision of, let's say, the entire blockchain, or let's say the future in the next 10, 15 years?
Yeah, so basically, as I said, look, Web 1.0 was all about internet. When internet came in, people were very skeptical, and it took few years, and then internet is, I mean, we are here just because of internet, right? So Web 2.0, people, I kind of weren't very skeptical about social media, and then social media took everybody by a storm, and now everybody's on social media. Web 3.0 is all about decentralization and blockchain, and currently, a lot of people are still not believing in it, and but a lot of people are as well. But that's the future. In the next 10 years, everything is going to move towards decentralization. People are not believing in it currently. I think in the end, 5 to 10 years, they will lose their jobs, and they will have no choice but to then believe in it. So I think the world is moving towards decentralization, and we are going towards decentralized for a lot of reasons. We want more accountability, more transparency, more trust. Like, I'll just give you a small example. When we are working with the police department, for instance, in India, and one of the state police, say Muzaffarnagar police, all the FIRs that are going to be done reside on the blockchain, which basically means that you can't tamper with those records. Like, even 5 years down the line, if you want to see what FIR, who was the name, who committed the crime, you can track all data, because it's just a chain of blocks and everything resides on chain, right? So it's very beautiful, the technology, of course. And it has its own negatives, as I said, about sustainability. But what we've done with Fire, the company that we are building, is we have solved the problem of sustainability. So then blockchain becomes the default thing if you really want to impact people in a positive way. Even governments are now readily adopting blockchain, and the reason is because they also understand that it's more secure, it's more transparent. Like, for instance, imagine if I have to send you $100, and those $100 were to be spent on, say, 5 kids. You want to sponsor education of 5 kids, or whatever that is. I'm just using a hypothetical number. Let's assume that number is $1,000, and you're spending like $100 each on 10 kids, right? So if you're on the blockchain, I can actually track as a donor where that money was spent. So the money goes from me to you, and then was it actually spent on that, right? So it's so accountable. It makes and it's of course very cost effective, because there is no intermediary, right? So when you transact currently, you use a bank or you use an intermediary. In the blockchain, you don't need any intermediary, so the intermediary costs go down, right? So it's more cost effective, it's more accountable, it's more secure, it's more, it gives you more trust, it gives you more transparency. So a lot of advantages are there, of course. So the world is moving towards it, whether it's a government or whether it's people, because I think also financial inclusion is going to be a big piece in the blockchain. That's what it's enabling. It's enabling the I mean, I know so many people who are just at the age of 22, 23 are talking about retirement because they've made so much money in this space, right? So that you don't see that happening in any other space. And the reason there's so much money also in this space is because it's changing the world. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. It's about the idea of a financial revolution where you make money only if you do good to the world, right? So that's where the world is moving towards. I think we need to, of course, save the planet, where we need to be sustainable, but at the same time, we need to adopt technology and use it for the betterment of humanity, right? So, for instance, we need for financial inclusion, or quality education, or solving the problem of the water crisis, and so on and so forth. And blockchain has the ability to do all of that, and that's why it's the future. And that's why people are talking about it. That's why most of the forums are talking about it. Even the budget, if you saw, just specific to India, if you see, they're rolling out a CBDC, which is central bank digital currency, next year, and that's also going to be on the blockchain. So the digital rupee is going to come out very soon, which is going to be on the blockchain. So yeah, the world is moving towards the blockchain, whether it's financials, or whether it's the government, or it's Fortune 500 supply chains. I'll just give a small example. One of my very good friends, she stays in Dubai. She got married on the blockchain. Now you can't tamper with that record. So she got married to her husband on 22nd of February, and it happened on the Ethereum blockchain. So it resides on the block. You can't change that block anymore, right? So it's basically, I mean, there are a lot of advantages. I can just go on and on, but it's definitely the future. And I think I would encourage everybody to start building and start learning about blockchain. We are also sponsoring a lot of hackathons in almost every institute. We are partnering with a lot of institutes across India and the world, and sponsoring that. Sponsoring hackathons, encouraging people to start building and learning about Rust and all the languages, because all the other things are going to become obsolete. They are not going to be sustainable jobs in those. So it's good. It's I think imperative that you should enter the space and learn about it, because it's a new space. So you would take time, but then it's ultimately the future.
And Pratik, tell me something. This is a question that I got in my personal chat. Does Pratik have a CS degree or is he self-taught?
No, I don't have a computer science degree. No. Uh, I don't have a computer science degree myself. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
electronics engineer, and after that, I got an MBA. And yeah, so I got my MBA from the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade in Delhi, and then I did a couple of courses from the University of Chicago, and represented India at the UN, World Economic Forum, Score World Forum, the United Nations, and Nobel Peace Prize Forum. Did all of that, but all these things don't matter, to be honest. Like, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter which school did you go to, if you studied or not, because all of these things are obsolete. I don't believe in the. So basically, for me, people confuse education with intelligence. That's absolutely not true, right? What I
Mm.
believe in is that you can learn everything on YouTube, you can learn everything on through interviews, right? So I did not study engineering, but I know most of the stuff now because I've been in this space for a long time. So I
Correct.
understand it. So you know, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter where you went to school or which school did you go to, which college did you start. But I think what matters is, you know, your ability to unlearn and learn, because you need to learn. This is very new. No college is teaching it right now, so you need to learn it yourself,
Mm.
right? So we are currently starting our own fire school, which is kind of a blockchain school, which think of it like a Byju's for blockchain education. And we're starting it, and we're partnering with universities. We're bringing a lot of kids and teaching them, and then after that we're going to absorb them into our workforce, because yeah, we're actively hiring, as I said, right? And there's a dearth of talent. There aren't a lot of engineers in the blockchain space, so we're actively hiring.
Correct, correct. So here's another question that I received. How can decentralization reduce poverty?
Decentralization can,
Yeah. How are
of
these
course it
related?
can. Yeah, it's very related. It can easily reduce poverty, and the reason is, I'm telling you, like, so you don't, like, for instance, with the wallets that we have, that the wallets that we have built, you don't need you can just transact on mobile numbers. So imagine, like, people currently imagine remittances. People from the US, if somebody from the US sends money to India, right, there are so many intermediaries and so much money is lost, right? If that money transfer happens directly without any intermediary cost, imagine the amount of cost savings that that person does. And imagine, that's just remittances I'm talking about. Imagine people transacting through digital assets on mobiles. Like, you don't need accounts. So a lot of people currently, a lot of India is unbanked, by the way. They still don't have bank accounts. I think one third of India doesn't have bank accounts, right? If I don't know if my number is right, but I think it'll be close to that. So now that's like 30%. So what happens I mean, how do you ensure financial inclusion when you are leaving aside the 30%, right? That represents your job. Like that's a part of your country, like the country and the economy. So when you do blockchain, when you put that into the place, they can easily get into the space and get it, and that ensures financial inclusion. And when financial inclusion happens through blockchain or through technology, it basically also ensures you're eliminating poverty. So there's, I mean, that of course it's going to eliminate poverty, and it's going to empower a lot of people to be financially more independent, I think.
See the point totally. Yeah, of course, of course. So let's talk about fire by itself. What is like the next 2 year big thing that we're gonna see?
Yeah, so with fire, what we are planning is, currently, as I said, we are the world's only and the first layer one sustainable blockchain. So our goal is to actually bring governments, work with a lot of governments, work with Fortune 500 companies, work with a lot of universities. So we are partnering with a lot of universities to roll out their degrees on a blockchain, put academic credentials on a blockchain. We are partnering with a lot of celebrities for our NFT metaverse marketplace to put into the metaverse most of the NFTs. We have our own wallet. So yeah, so we have lot of stuff happening. Our mainnet is going to go live in the middle of this year, and our testnet is already live. So testnet, for you guys who don't know, it's like a beta version of the product, and the final version of the product goes live later this year. We've already secured a lot of MOUs. We're working with a city of Alliance in the state of Nebraska in the US, a lot of state governments in India. So we will be actually executing a lot of blockchain solutions, and bringing a lot of these stakeholders on the blockchain, as I said. So bringing governments and Fortune 500s and universities and family offices and all of them. And through that, we're going to mobilize a lot of money, a lot of capital towards social impact as well. So, and prove the thesis again that you can make more money if you do more good to the world. The end goal for us is basically, look, think of us like a Linux. So in the next 2 years, we have built an infrastructure. When you ride on that infrastructure or build a application, a decentralized application, imagine the next Ola, the next Uber, the next Google, everything being on the blockchain, and it resides on fire chain. So we are like a Linux where we have created an infrastructure. When you ride on that infrastructure, you actually go from for profit to for benefit, and that's how the whole world moves from fourth industrial revolution to the fifth. So that's what we are facilitating, and the end goal for us is to impact 1 billion people positively. And of course, when we do that, we'll easily be hitting $1 billion in revenue. So yeah, that's the goal.
Correct, correct, correct. Pratik, another basic but very often repetitive question. That is, let's say when you think about the social, the sustainable goals of the United Nations, where environmental safety is is probably seen as the forefront of your company, Fire, and that's where how do you ensure, since the utility is increasing at an enormous rate, the amount of energy that has been consumed is also been increasing, and let's say as you talk about the integrations that have been increasing over periods of time. So how do you ensure that this energy, let's say, this is all sustainable on a circle?
Yeah. So that's what I was saying. We don't use a proof of work or proof of stake. We use something called proof of benefit, where if you use geothermal energy over coal, or if you use anything which is sustainable, you get financially rewarded, which basically means that we are financially rewarding sustainable practices. These are we have tokenized the SDGs. So we have tokenized all the 17 goals like education, climate, renewable, solar, wind, smart cities, health, all of that, and that's in our consensus. So, which basically means now if you basically promote geothermal energy and I promote coal, you get financially rewarded, right? Which basically also means that you're making more money than me just because you're following sustainable practices, which moves the whole world to that direction. Because in the end, you need to incentivize everybody with capital, with money. If you don't do that, people wouldn't move, right? So to do that, we've actually identified all the 17 SDGs and put them into the consensus, and we're moving the whole world through that. So that's what we are currently focused on, and that's how we are the only sustainable blockchain.
Got it, man. That's insanely good. Can we go on for like 5, 6 more minutes if you have
Yeah,
the
yeah,
time?
yeah, yeah, yeah. 5 minutes is fine. Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure. Thanks. So these are questions that are being downpoured over here in my personal chat regarding I am a 16-year-old. What would you suggest me as a person who's like with deep interest in the space of blockchain? Should he consider starting up right now, or should he consider formal education? What would you suggest, Pratik?
So I would suggest that look, I think education, you should definitely do education, but treat it like a playground where you just go and network. Okay, it's great for networking. You need your peers. Like you might find your co-founder there. You might find an investor there. You might find your, you know. So I basically did go to all schools and studied. And it helps me actually hire people, to be honest, right? I mean, I'm hiring a lot of the people I studied with, so it's easy. So basically it does give you a network for learning. For learning, I think digital media is the best. Watch interviews, watch TED talks, watch what people are building. um, um, Take online courses, and make sure you equip yourself with technology. So like uh, what that also means is that most of the languages currently like Substrate or Rust, get deep knowledge about them. Read online. um, if your friend is working on it, work for them, right? Whatever, like, or build or and by the way, there's the best time to start up is now. So don't ever think that you need to wait to start up, because the earlier you start, the more time you have, and the more time you have, the better you build. Because it's also a game of hard work, perseverance. A lot of stuff comes into the picture. So the earlier you start, the better it is. So there is, I mean, I would highly encourage you guys, if anybody 16 or 18 or 20 or 24, whatever, you should start immediately. Because I think so I'll also tell you another fact about entrepreneurship. You will have failures. You cannot have successes directly. Let me be honest about it, right? And anybody who tells you that they've been successful in all their ventures is lying, right? There would be failures before somebody gets successful, and you need to embrace those failures and learn from it, because entrepreneurship is all about learning. You build a solution, you fail, it's there's no problem about it. In fact, it's good that you failed, because you become better the next time you do it. So the what I'm trying to tell you is, the earlier you start, the more time you have to fail, and the more time you have, the earlier you get successful. So it's cool. So yeah, let's start as early as possible.
Sure. So people are asking about whom are you hiring and what are you looking at, and how what is the process of applying for your company?
Yeah, so there is a portal. I think some of my team members might have joined this. They'll just send it on the chat box. Vignesh or Sushmita can send it, and you guys can apply from that. What we are looking at is mostly ability to learn, like quick learners, excited about the technology, blockchain, excited about the concept that I've been kind of promoting for 15 years, which is to say that you can make money if you do more good to the world. So you should believe in the idea of social impact. Otherwise, please don't apply. We are only looking for people who believe in the idea of impact. We are only looking for people who are very passionate about technology. So people who want to work at the intersection of technology and social impact are the perfect people for us. So if you want to work at the intersection of social impact and technology, then please apply. If you have knowledge of blockchain, if you are a developer, awesome, please apply to the tech team. If you are something good in HR, apply to the HR team. If you're good at finance, apply to the finance team. But yeah, knowledge of blockchain is a must. Technology, you should be passionate about. You should be passionate about creating impact in the world. That's what we are looking at, and a lot of energy, because we are a fun team. We joke and we have fun, and it's a very fun culture that we have. So we're looking for people who are excited and always want to have fun as well, and of course work.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. Absolutely amazing, man. Uh, so talking about the last question, at this point, after these many startups, after these many experiences, after these many ventures overall, what is that one thing that genuinely excites you till this very day? And what is on top of your mind that blows your mind away, like with fascination?
Yeah, that's what I said. So I think the biggest motivation for me is actually seeing smile on faces of people. So I'll tell you something, because I started my journey early. Money stopped motivating me when I was 23, 24, because by then I'd made decent money. But once you make money, it doesn't motivate you, right? What motivates you is something which is bigger than bigger than yourself, right? So we started this, and I've been in this space for long. So I basically get very, very, very excited. That's why I love blockchain. I love, because I know it has the power to give people it's a level playing field. So I mean, you might be the richest person in the world and I might be the poorest, but it's a public chain. You can see all data, and what you see is the same thing I see. It's a level playing field. It's a level playing field where you have equal opportunities, which basically means that any person can be in this space. There is going to be financial inclusion. There is a chance there is a chance to easily achieve all the SDGs, which are health or climate, and solve all of these problems that the world is facing. So I think what makes me excited and what keeps me up day and night is basically I know that when our technology is going live very soon, as I said, our mainnet is going live. When it actually goes live, the world is going to twist from a for profit model to a for benefit model, which basically means the whole world is going to start talking about sustainability. The whole world is going to move towards a fifth industrial revolution where people are going to actually end up making money only if they're good to the world. So imagine a world where there is no hunger, right? There is no poverty, and equal access to education, equal access to health. That's the world I always have wanted. So when that happens, it gives me a kick, it gives me a buzz, right? Yeah, so that's what excites me.
Awesome, awesome, Pratik. I mean, I personally learned a lot, and I feel this is an absolute honor hosting you. And thanks a lot. Thanks for coming to BlueLearn. And yeah, thanks, man.
Thanks,
Thank you
Pratik,
so
for
much,
taking out
guys.
your time. It was
Thank,
indeed a great session. Thank you so much again.
thank you so much, guys. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, please feel free to ping me on any of the social media like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever. I'm very active there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you everyone who have joined. We'll just end it in few minutes.
Sure.
Meanwhile, you can
So
put in
before
chat
we
how did you like it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, before we end, I really want the audience to at least say like, okay, if you like the session, put number one on the chat. It's just like one number on the chat, number one. Yep. Can I get that? Can I get that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, yeah.
just spam it, guys. That's okay. At the end of the day, providing value is something that has been at the forefront of BlueLearn as a community. And by the way, I must say, you are right now at one of the India's largest student community with more than 60,000 people. And yeah, you get to meet people that you would like to have a conversation with. And all right, you must check out other voice channels on the Discord channel of BlueLearn, and see you around. And that's it. My name is Chandan Perla, and along with me, Yash. And thanks to BlueLearn team. And that's it for today. See you again.
Cool, guys. We'll end it. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a good night. Chalo, bye.